Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast between Doro and Jimmy here in the Xel'Naga Caverns. Give me 1 second. Alright, I'm back. Accidentally left the door open. It was quiet for a second and then coming back. Anyways, you guys didn't miss too much in that first 30 seconds here. Doro's spawning here on the north side of the map as the red Protoss player. This is Root Doro or dDoro. Don't know quite how to pronounce that. Hopefully I'm not butchering the name. And over here, this is Jimmy. Yeah. This is Jimmy spawning on the bottom left hand side as the purple Terran. I'm getting my left and my rights confused. Hopefully it's not an indication that I'm getting tired and I won't have any word salads today. So gonna just shorten it up to Jimmy, and as opposed to this is Jimmy, and then Doro over here on the north. Apologies if you really like your names. Yeah, just easier for a commentator to refer to you as something a little bit shorter. So the red Protoss player over here on the north side, continuing to just build more and more probes. Same thing over here on the south. Jimmy continuing to just train up more SCVs as well. Should be getting up a barracks in just a moment. Wait for it. There it is. Protoss versus Terran here in the Xel'Naga Caverns. Hopefully this is an interesting matchup. I do not know too much about these players. I just saw this replay and was looking for some just more and more replays, trying to figure out different strategies. And I thought it would be nice to just change it up a little bit and cast some games from players that I do not know too much about. Perhaps I'll see some new strategies coming in so far. But so far, nothing too mind-blowing coming in. We now see a probe coming in from the north, so Doro will be coming in with this probe, but it will not be able to get that much harassment done onto that one barracks. We now see one SCV coming off the mineral line, however, simply ignoring his buddy. No, coming back to save his friend. And there we go, Doro and Jimmy duking it out right there. The Peppy the Probe will be able to move away. Peppy the Probe, however, not being microed for just a second, and now down to 15 hit points. So that is not a good sign for Peppy. Peppy now being able to run away, has those shields recharging. So as those shields recharge, it will be able to come back in and duke and fight another day. Back over here in the base of Doro. Doro going for double gas. So double gas, and now also getting that cybernetics core. Not quite sure why he's hiding the cybernetics core, as if you have an assimilator, you definitely know that your opponent has a cybernetics core. Back over here, we now see one probe continuing to walk around, and now Jimmy had to lift off his barracks for just a moment in order to place down this tech lab, and now may place down a factory right here. And that's the only reason why I see such a wide opening there, as a Reaper now being trained. So Jimmy using early Reapers against Protoss. As long as Doro does get a chrono boosted Stalker out, that Reaper will not be able to deal that much damage. Stalkers have the same movement speed as a Reaper, with an additional 2 or 1.5 in range, so that Stalker is able to catch down and catch up to a Reaper very quickly. Reaper is also very low on hit points, only 50 hit points on a Reaper. Very expensive unit. And as this probe just continues to wander around, making sure that there is no proxy racks coming in so far. We do see one SCV currently sitting in this base here. The SCV will get shot down relatively quickly by that Stalker. Stalker, I'm gonna continue to give it chase there. We do see one probe now making its way over, giving sight past the brush, and the Stalker able to get that final shot off there. One bunker being placed here instead, as a Reaper now makes its way out across the map. I gotta believe that this early Reaper is here more for scouting than for anything else. And true enough to scouting, that Reaper will be able to fly off and jump up this cliff and quickly see that there's a Stargate right here. So Doro, instead of going for that standard robotics facility, going for that Stargate. And I'm not sure if that's gonna be early Void Ray play or early Phoenix play. Based upon the location of the Stargate, I would say it's gonna be more of a Phoenix play. However, in comes this Reaper trying to chase down this one probe. That one Reaper was able to see that probe for just a second, and now that Reaper trying to chase after that probe, no, not even bothering to chase it now. And this Reaper not doing any significant scouting whatsoever, so he still does not know that Void Rays are being produced. Okay, so I guessed incorrectly. Void Rays now being chrono boosted out of the Stargate. There are also some sentries as well, one Stalker and sentry waiting over here in the distance just in case the Reaper tries to jump off that cliff. There is also one sentry here, and now in comes that scanner sweep. Did the scanner sweep spot the Stargate? Yes, it did just catch the north side of that Stargate. as the Void Ray is online and operational, moving at a decent movement speed, the same speed as a Marine and a Marauder. We now see Stalkers now making their way out across the map in order to clean up that Reaper. Will they be able to clean up that Reaper very easily? No, that Stalker trying to give chase. That Reaper also taking 2 points or 2 hits of damage so far. Stalker will not be able to catch up to that Reaper all too well, as that Reaper is able to jump up and down cliffs and has the same movement speed as a Stalker. However, that Reaper, not very smart, decides to go toe-to-toe with the Stalker and finds itself dead. Back here, now we have one Void Ray in the air. That Void Ray will have to deal with an army of Marines. The Marines a strong counter to that Void Ray, as the Void Ray only deals 6 damage in attack against those Marines there. You can see 2 rounds of attack, how quickly those shields were depleted by that swarm of Marines. The Marines, however, have a relatively shorter, or have a shorter firing range of only 5 against 6. Marines quickly jumping inside that bunker, and now the Void Ray will only be able to hit this tech lab at the very most. If they try to take down this one bunker, that's going to be a very, very bad day for that Void Ray. Void Ray now being forced to pull away, perhaps be able to get some damage dealt across here. There are a lot of Marines. So currently 11 Marines now coming in, and those 11 Marines trying to get underneath dDoro. dDoro now pulling back with those Void Rays. Marines using those stim packs. A lot of damage has been dealt across multiple Marines. So what was that? 11, so 110 damage dealt across those Marines, only to deal 44 points of damage to the actual hit points of that Void Ray. The Void Ray will start to be able to recharge those shields in just a moment and get back up and operational. We do have a probe now down over here, and a little surprised that there is not a proxy pylon here. A proxy pylon would be a very, very strong move. We now also see a group of Marines now making their way out across the map. One Void Ray, I guess, trying to split the defense. One Void Ray going off to the north, one going to the south. And if it hugs along this position over here and may be able to get some damage, SCVs do barely spot that Void Ray as they are able to spot it. But now Marines now trying to make their way over. The Void Ray coming online, going after some of those SCVs as those SCVs are getting disrupted. The Void Ray just trying to make sure that it stays away out of position. Now going after a supply depot. However, quickly Marines now coming in. This one Void Ray will be able to sit off in this location, just use that range of 6 against that range of 5 on those Marines, and then if it's able to just sit in this position, we'll be able to get a lot of damage dealt there. Marines, however, just sitting over here, they cannot deal that much damage against that Void Ray. The Void Ray does have shields, and it does recharge just sitting here, and as it just sits there, it will be able to get a lot of damage dealt relatively easily. So now pulling back, once again, those Marines do not want to use those stim packs. Damage would just be dealt and not really do anything towards this Void Ray. Back over here, we now see Void Rays in the air, sentries, stalkers, and zealots on the ground as dDoro getting into a very, very strong second base. Same thing with Jimmy, as Jimmy also getting a strong second base as well. This one Void Ray just getting so much damage dealt across multiple Marines. Those Marines do have that combat shield, but have taken a fair amount of damage so far. This Void Ray, I do not see any Flux Veins currently being researched, perhaps trying to deal some damage, and now pulling back with those Marines once again. Just sitting over there trying to give chase. A new fresh group of Marines now coming in as well, trying to deal more damage, and that Void Ray just causing a lot of pressure. And a little surprise, one Viking and one medevac currently being trained. All those Marines will be healed back up, and that Void Ray's days are numbered, with nowhere to run and nowhere to hide, and no kills to even warrant that very, very expensive air unit so far. Just a lot of harassment, and as that Viking pops out, this Void Ray will try to engage it. And as it tries to engage, more Marines will be able to get underneath it. There's that Viking with that range of 9. Void Ray trying to run away, not going to be able to really do anything else except for do some minimal scouting, and then perhaps be able to take down one SCV, unable to get that SCV down to 3 hit points. So yeah, that Void Ray didn't even get 1 kill. We do have a Robotics Bay now coming online though. So the Robotics Bay indicates Colossi will be trained, and now Protoss level 1 ground upgrades. We do see that there are level 1 infantry upgrades coming online for the Marauders and the Marines. There is currently 1 Viking in the air, but that 1 Viking is not going to be able to sustain and prevent enough damage against the multiple Colossi. 2 additional Vikings are being trained as well. We should see dDoro also going in for some Psy Storm at some point. Psy Storm, a very, very strong ability, as you've seen recently. We see the extended thermal lance range, And now with the warp gate running, 2 warp gates, 1 robotics facility, and 1 Stargate, training up Colossi, Phoenixes, and getting a second Stargate as well. I'm surprised that I do not see any flux veins. We now see the floating factory making its way across the map. That factory's days are numbered. Will they be able to spot anything critical? No, nothing critical, as those photon cannons able to get that last kill there. So just a sniping kill there, getting off 1 photon cannon attack in order to deal that damage. Marines and Marauders once again on the move. There are 3 Vikings in the air, but a lot of Marines on the ground. Those Marines are going to be able to deal a lot of damage. However, those sentries with that Guardian shield, and if they're able to get off of some critical force fields and split up this army, that would be a very, very bad sign. In comes a scanner sweep. The scanner sweep, I do not believe, reveals the Colossi. No, sorry, yes, does reveal the Colossi. And then in come those force fields. Marines are unable to engage. More force fields coming in, so a lot of those Marauders in the back and Marines in the back unable to fight back, as Stalkers are just simply shooting those units out of the sky. Once again, more force fields being laid down. Marauders with nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Photon cannons joining in on the fight, as those Void Rays will be able to simply clean up the rest of this engagement here. Void Rays trying to give chase, will be able to finish off this 1 medevac. The Phoenix also may be able to get an additional kill onto that Viking as well, as that Phoenix is able to just continue to shoot and scoot and move across the map. Those Stalkers also moving much more quickly, will be able to get some damage across those Marauders. And Jimmy suffering heavy losses in this engagement there, now being finally forced, or now no longer able to continue that chase, as there is some static defense, 1 bunker and a missile turret, and just very good sight, or a sight for sore eyes for the Marauders and those Marines being able to live and fight another day. However, a Nexus now coming in by dDoro. So dDoro getting up a Nexus, also getting up 2 additional pylons here, will be able to start mining off of this gold mineral patch and get a very strong economy going. You can see I'm sitting on 61 harvesters compared to 55. And with the way that Jimmy has been using scanner sweeps, he has not been able to call down as nearly as many mules as I believe he wants to. 1 proxy pylon over here as a scout, 1 SCV probably going to get graviton beamed and then zapped very quickly. No, Stalker wants to finish it off. Colossus wants to finish it off. Phoenix, there it goes. Down it goes. And now, so those Phoenixes are going to be in the air. The Phoenixes are there to absorb damage from those Vikings, deal damage towards those Vikings, and protect the Void Rays and the Colossi. I believe that the Vikings naturally target the Phoenixes. If the Phoenixes are not targeted, the Phoenixes are able to deal a lot of damage quickly to those Vikings and shoot them out of the sky, and relatively easily, especially if they have the level 1 weapons upgrade. We'll see if anything comes about from that. Vikings do not have any armor in the air, as there are now Vikings on the ground. Vikings now trying to deal damage back and forth. I don't see any force fields, though. This is a little bit of a concern, as those Marauders are now being split up there. Colossi continuing to fight back. Are they going to be able to deal enough damage? A lot of those Marauders just getting choked up on themselves, as those Marauders are now using stim and trying to take down more of those Stalkers. However, the Colossi are really dealing the damage there, and dDoro is still surviving this fight, losing 2 of his Colossi due to poor micro. However, able to stop his opponent, and now with this Nexus up and running at the gold mineral location, things are looking good for Root. Stay tuned for part 2 of this replay between ThisIsJimmy and Root dDoro here in the Xel'Naga Caverns.